All right, guys. So we're live. We're going to be talking about love languages. There's two things I want to talk about before I get into the meat and bones. The first thing is there's a lot of people who want to love people. Like they put a lot of effort into like loving their, whoever it is, spouses, girlfriend, boyfriend, and they still are frustrated with their relationships because it's just not working, and there's just not that like kind of communication. It's just not really like vibing. And I think a lot of it is because of this particular topic of love languages. They want to love, but they're loving in the wrong way. The second thing I want to talk about is the love is, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like love, I personally believe, is a verb. Like you love someone. Love is sacrificial. Like love is not something that necessarily is a feeling or is easy at times. Like even when you don't feel like loving, this person, you love them, right? And in this context of the 5 love languages, it's basically like the other person's love language may not be your love language. So for example, like I don't like touch. I'm not a huge fan of touch. And some person loves touch. For me, it would be a sacrifice for me to like go hug the person. I don't personally like. I don't personally. I don't personally want to hug the person, but I'm doing it because I'm loving them. Again, verb, sacrificial. So I just want to mention that. Now I want to go through a few different points here. So the 5 love languages, I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, it's an amazing book, and it talks about how everybody has different love languages, right? Some people receive love better in different forms than others. So I'm going to go through those with you right now. Okay. All right. So so we're going to go through each and every one. The first one I'm going to talk about is touch. So some people, they develop connection by receiving physical contact. Now, when the meter goes low, you really see the worst of that person. And when the needs are met, the anxiety goes down. So please don't starve them in that, And so for people who are like a physical touch type, I would say communicate your need, because a lot of you guys, don't do that. Okay, so the second one is acts of service. So basically, they're the people who like they're like, help me, right? They feel really helped when you serve them and you act and do something for them. Their love meter goes down based on what they see with their eyes, and whether they feel like they're being helped. So they're the guys who like they go into a room, they notice everything that's wrong with an environment, they feel pain in an environment, and when people don't see your pain and not move or do anything, the meter goes down. So the third one is gifts. So personally for me, I don't like gifts. You can give me gifts all day long and I don't necessarily feel loved, to be honest. And so, but other people, they really like, gifts are a physical token of love. And what they're really, asking to themselves is like, do you know me? Like, are you thinking of me? Something very powerful about gifts. The fourth one is quality time. So they feel love and connection when you find them interesting, when you spend time with them and you pay attention to them. So for those who don't necessarily are quality time people, the way to love a quality time person is really just to say yes to them. When they want to hang out, say yes to them, even if you don't want to. And that's how you're going to fill their meter. And the fifth and final one is words of affirmation. So this is me personally. I'm definitely a words of affirmation type of guy. They're saying appreciate me, like me, see what I did. They feel they want to feel enjoyed and appreciated and receive words of encouragement. So when those people who don't have words of affirmation, from their community, just keep in mind that when their love tank is low, they feel pretty. And so That's pretty much it. I mean, that's all I got. It's incredibly powerful stuff. Again, the biggest thing is to find what love language the person that you're loving is, and then start loving them in that way. So,
Gotcha. So I can understand how maybe I figure out my own love language, either, get the book, take some quizzes that are probably available on the author's website or something like that. But how do you find out other people's? I'm not going to probably walk around carrying surveys for people to fill out, right? So what are your like tips and tricks to figure that out for others?
it's a great question. A lot of people actually have read this book, and sometimes you could just kind of tell, like, you can kind of ask them questions, like, if hey, like, do you feel like, because if you look at the actual questionnaire, it's pretty simple. Like, do you feel more loved when someone spends time with you, or someone gives you gifts? Or do you feel more loved when someone encourages you and makes you feel important? Or do you feel more loved when the person hugs you and just really uh, um, just physically touches you, or something like that, right? And that really, it's actually a really simple test.
Gotcha. Okay.
Give clear indication for that. But I would suggest that just ask the person to take the test. I think that's the best.
Easiest way to do it. Yeah. And I've also been thinking a little bit about myself and what love language might speak most to me. And as I was reflecting on kind of like my life, do you think that love language can change over time, or is it something that's more like fixed and somebody's going to always have the same love language throughout life?
That is interesting. You, as a PhD in psychology, I would say would be a better candidate for this question. I know personality tests, like, there are people who do kind of alter from their previous tests decades ago.
Right.
How does this apply? I mean, is it genetic? Is it learned? It's
both.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's both, right? Everything has some form of genetic component, but then there are probably also things that happen throughout our life that just stick better with us for some reason or other. So as you said, maybe somebody really connects gift giving. Maybe they felt most love on their birthday and Christmas and Easter and Valentine's Day when people were giving them things. So that might be some sort of like really powerful memory that was formed with them. So when they get gifts, it reminds them of all these really great times and how they felt loved. I mean, that's just one example. Or, touch comfort could be something. There's a lot of studies out there with rhesus monkeys that show touch and contact comfort is a really powerful thing for people to feel, doing animal modeling to explain human behavior. So the monkeys went to the towel, the terry cloth wire monkey, for contact comfort over the monkey with food, because that was a more basic need for them. Sure. So as you said, these things can be really powerful, and they're filling us up sometimes more than sustenance, And so it's a really interesting concept.
It's true. Like Maslow, we all know, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, once the physical needs are met, I mean, there are social things that we just crave and desire, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't get it because we're so individualistic. So.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't totally answer your question, but I think things can change over time. People grow, develop, have different needs met. We could talk about sort of Erikson's model of development and what inner conflicts are going on at different stages of people's life. And those change throughout time. So I don't see why people's needs might be different as they progress through different stages of life.
Right. I mean, not to get too much into a tangent, but I've always found that interesting. Like, yeah, the nature versus nurture thing, and do people change? And I absolutely do. I'm more under the camp of it's both too.
Mm-hmm.
It's both, I absolutely do believe genetics makes a big difference. Like, genetics will, like, we're talking about depression. Like, some people are just prone to depression.
Yeah.
Some people are prone to bipolar, or some people are prone to have like a lot of energy. I don't know. Like, some people are prone, for this and that. And yet, with the right environment, I do believe people can absolutely change.
For sure.
The
Yeah,
brain
and
is plastic,
there's
right?
a lot of cool studies, specifically, mental health being my area of expertise, of reading through what they call twin studies. So they'll take like identical fraternal twins, either raised in the same household or raised apart, and they look at the differences in their development. And we can discuss some of those topics in a different video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a powerful stuff, and learning not only how others are loved, but also learning, what works best for you. What's your love language? Getting some self-knowledge here, I think, is a big deal.
Right, right. For anybody who's watching, I would suggest, go online, Google 5 love languages and take the quiz and find out for yourself and let people know. You got to let other people know what your love language is. If you're frustrated on, just not feeling loved, well, you didn't let them know. So it's actually your fault.
There we go. We're left with the message of it's your fault.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the lesson and the bit of knowledge here, Peter.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. All right, guys. We are signing out. Thanks for joining us here.
That's right. Love yourself and love others.